I like control. I like power. Know anyone like that? These are the number 8s of the Enneagram, and that is what I'm going to be talking about today. Your bite-sized chunk to a wonderful, better, more meaningful and purposeful you. And it all starts with understanding what you are and what others are, and what works for you and what doesn't. And this is no better place than here, right? You know, we might as well do it here. Bite-sized chunks. Every single day there'll be something that's going to be of use to you that you can actually implement today, which I encourage you to do. So the 8s, they are all about the power, baby. You know, it's all about the control. It's all about the being strong and out there. And you know, you see it in female and in male, and I often see it in very you know, aggressive environments. It's not always the case, but you know, a balanced power number is an absolute treasure, because they empower rather than disempower. And I think that is the core difference. You know, the empowering 8s are phenomenal. They are real game changers. They are certain and safe in their knowledge of who they are and how they operate. They are quite often unforgivingly so, unapologetically so, and that there is confidence in that, and often they are the leaders because they are so sure of themselves. Or even if they're not so sure, you think that they are sure of what it is that they're after or how they're presenting themselves. So when they are using it, I guess, in a sense for the greater good, for the benefit of all, to benefit the humankind or change the world in a more positive way, fabulous, fabulous, fabulous people, great leaders, and they get it. And where they can get to the point where they can also help others to be empowered themselves and step back from needing to have the power themselves. So they are about safety and security as well, to some level and degree, but they are the disruptors that, you know, if they don't feel that it's going their way in a high stress environment, they can flip into the power and control role, which is possibly less attractive. So when you're moving up the scale, or the Richter scale for the power number, you know, I've spoken about the balanced side, but the unbalanced sides are those seriously aggressive, take out whoever, because it is all about gaining control and power and empowering themselves. And they can land up being quite sometimes narcissistic, because it's like, what's going to work for me, and I don't really care about anyone else. So you sometimes see this, in fact you see it quite often with politicians, you know, that whole gaming arena of what's in it for them, how are they going to benefit from it. They get a kick out of the controlling of others rather than empowering them to be able to control their own lives. So that's the flip side for them, and it's they get juiced by that, the power, the control, the territory gain. And you see it in corporate environments. You know, quite often you'll see in corporates head-to-heads with leaders who are all about control, and then you'll have an unbalanced 3 who's highly competitive, who wants to achieve, and you know, there's a bit of head banging going on there, and you know, everybody's going it's little crazy people. So you know, it's just being aware of the power numbers. You know, are they quite often, if I'm honest, you know, I often find that if they're unbalanced, tends to be, in my personal experience, and I can't say this as a general norm, but in my experience, I have noticed that unhealthy 8s are typically, they've had quite a lot of early childhood trauma that has resulted in them being so ego-driven and so discordant with themselves, like they lose touch with their soul and their driver of why we're really here and the real purpose that we're actually here for. and they get wrapped up into that world of material, and they think that their value is totally associated with position, power, status, the material, recognition. The more you own, the more you control, the more people you have, that everybody else sees, and society, accepts this. I mean, it's promoted. It's actually actively promoted. Behave like that. And honestly, I can personally say, from having been in corporate, I remember, I struggled with it because there were so many egos, and it was all very self-serving, and I really battled with that. I don't really know how you can sleep at night treating people like that kind of thing going on. And yet I did very, very well in that environment, because I was able to move around and be flexible in the way I handled stuff. But they can be really quite hard work to deal with if they're really far gone. So, we're talking like, the dictators of the world. It's like, I grew up in Zimbabwe, like Mugabe. He was an 8, and he could not relinquish the control. So when when he came into power, it was all about the freedom fighting. He was like Nelson Mandela. Everybody looked up to him. Zimbabwe was considered the breadbasket of Africa, and was doing really, really well. He ran the country for many years, not so well. He ran it really well, but there were things that we didn't know about, we weren't aware about, which indicated his need for his control and power that hurt and killed millions, well, at least hundreds of thousands of people to our knowledge. But the crux of it came in one day when there was a set of elections and he didn't win, and his ego couldn't handle it. The fact that the people, his people that he had led in the war days to freedom, had turned on him and said, no, we don't want you. His super ego just could not cope with that. So he ran another election, and he rigged the election so that he would win. And that's what he did consecutively, until eventually, he did get ousted after his wife tried to poison his second in charge and got caught because he didn't actually die. Anyway, long story short, he ended up dying a very lonely old man, ostracized, we think, in Singapore. No one really knows. He just seemed to have vanished. He kept all his money, all the land that he stole. He never returned anything. And look now, he's gone over to the big beyond, and he hasn't got a jolly thing to take with him. So you've got to wonder what kind of legend you want to leave behind. So here's the thing, folks. Went on a bit of a tangent there, but it gives you an idea of an unhealthy 8. Okay, what 8s do you know? Okay, let's have a think about it. Who in your life do you know that could be an 8? Sometimes people say to me, Vix, how do you know, they're an 8 or a 1? 8's all about the control and the power, and the 1s are all about I am right. So, I beg your pardon. The 1s are all about I am right, can't say I'm wrong. So if they can't say I'm wrong, it's more likely that they're a 1. If they are an 8, then it's all about the control. They can say sorry, may not always mean it, but they can say it, and they can admit that maybe they could do things in a different way if they're healthily balanced. So let's have a look, guys. Tell me what you think. Please like, share, subscribe, and hop over to the Facebook group and get the conversation going. I look forward to hearing what steps you've taken today to improved you. Thank you. Bye now. Namaste.